Hey, it's Friday night, and you know what that means if you tuned into this channel. It means very simply, it's time for another episode of On the Peg with me, the DC Toyaholic. It's pretty obvious. I'm also known as the Mad Montreal Man, and we got a show for you today. It's episode 51 of season 3. We only got one episode to go after this, so it's going to be a nice, good one. Nothing over the top. That's coming next week. So we got 4 for you today. We're going to start off with a non-DC just because it's been kicking around here in the studio. We're doing the Chun-Li in the red. Apparently this is a variant. I picked it up and it's been kicked around. We're going to be doing from the DC Multiverse Reborn universe, because it's not the Cyborg I've been asking for all these years, but it's, of course, Cyborg. And, of course, after that, we'll be looking at, in his newest incarnation, or his newest outfit, I'm still waiting for my motorcycle order to come in, the Red Hood. And I know I've done this in a previous show. I did the Connor Kent Superboy, but I didn't open up the chase. I didn't open up the variant. I just figured, oh, well, didn't feel like it. It happens. But for episode 51, as you can tell by the hoodie I'm wearing, we're doing the Lex Luthor Connor Kent variant. Ooh, yay. So let me just put these down for a second and we can get started. So, what do you say we start the show off with the non-DC? I'm going to get my friend out. Those of you who know and love him as much as I do, you know fully well he is Dr. Scalpel. And, what do you say? We, once again, drive those Bullets Mint and box package people crazy. And let's cut away to the close-up, and we'll be back right after the close-up, because I need to get her out and take all the little plastic things off. So, be back in a minute. Now, I don't normally talk about packaging, but I still have to give them credit because it does look like an arcade game. I will say this time, though, the backdrop was taped in to everything. There was so much tape on this that the plastic actually started coming out as well. As for the backdrop, normally I give them credit for their backdrops because it's nice, cool. However, when I took a really good look at this one, it's a little bit borderline. I did use it for the close-up, but it is a nice little thing to have. Now, as you saw in the close-up, she does have this effect, the 3 punches, which is kind of cool. She also comes with a spare head, with the, I guess, screaming head, and of course, you gotta have those chopping hands. La, 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 la. But let's talk about the figure herself. Now, I have well, if you've watched the show, I've got the Chun-Li, the blue one of the same series. I've also got an older Chun-Li, which is a lot more appropriately sized. These are small. If you're a 7-inch action figure collector like I am, you are going to realize, yeah, they're small. On average, they're about 5, pushing to 6 inches. Not that big. Now, articulation-wise, oh yeah, she's posable. There's no doubt that you could pose these. I do suggest warming them up. A little bit of warm water, because they are stiff. They are very stiff. And as I learned with some of my other Street Fighter action figures, if you pose them a certain way after X amount of time on the shelf, they get really stiff. I mean, you really have to warm them up. One thing that's nice about this series, though, less likely to break. One of my older figures, I had it posed for a long time. I basically went to toss the head in a certain way and the neck pin snapped. I've had no problem with these. I've got a few of these now. I mean, my M. Bison, my older one was very stiff. That one was stuck. Had to warm him up. Finally got him working. But no, this is nice. However, though, I will say, I prefer the blue outfit. I just do. I don't know. Because it's not really that red. It's more of an orangey red, which is kind of a bit disappointing because, those of you who know me personally know that my ex-wife, Allison, is of Chinese background, and that red that they use is amazing. This is not as amazing. It's a very disappointing red. I prefer the blue version of this, but hey, let me know what you think of the red one in your comments. It's a nice face sculpt, though, even though one of the eyes seems a bit crooked. That's besides your point. So let's move on, shall we? Okay, let's get this out of the way. Things are falling down. You know what? Just to change things up a little bit, because we had a disappointing red dress, let's go to a red hood. Oh, mixing things up a little bit. Red hood. Good old Jason Todd in this red hood. And I've heard rumors that there might be a variant out there. I haven't seen it. I was lucky because I was smart. I pre-ordered my action figures, apart from the Chun-Li, my DC Multiverse. 98% of the time I get because I pre-order through GameStop. Same with this. He finally came in, so it's time I get my friend, my associate in the battle against sealed action figures, Dr. Scalpel, and let's take him out of the package. I also want to thank a collector. Recently I was dealing with someone privately, and I finally got myself the Red Hood unmasked. But that's going somewhere special, and maybe I'll review it in season 4. I don't know, but what do you say we go to the close-up, and we'll be back right after that. I don't normally talk about the cards that much, but I do like the art on the cards. So as you saw in the close-up, there he is, and he does come with two grippy hands, and I do give them credit because the grippy hands, they actually just didn't make him solid black, they actually put the red detail on there. He also has, of course, the sword and the crowbar. A little bit disappointed with the accessories. To me, it would have been nice to have two swords and have him hold the crowbar instead. That's just me being picky. Overall, not a bad figure. I have one question, though. Todd, Mr. McFarlane, with all the advancements you've been making lately, for example, Ragman had a cloth hood. The newest DC Direct Robin that's coming out has a cloth hood. Wouldn't it make more sense to give Red Hood, good old Jason here, a cloth hood instead of this rubber thing? Because you can't pull it back, which limits, of course, the head movement. You really can't. This is one where I wish there would have been a platinum version of this thing where the jacket was soft goods and the hood was soft goods. To me, that would have been worth a couple extra bucks. It just would have been. Overall, not a bad figure. I like the detail in the gloves. The weapons do get whole. You have to open them up a little bit. They don't just slide in. It's not a bad Red Hood. Is it my favorite, though? No. I prefer I guess the first run of Red Hood where you actually had the guns, because it just seems more like the Red Hood. This is more of a toned down Red Hood. I mean, when I get the motorcycle that he goes with, who knows, I might have a different opinion, but he's still a good figure to have, and I do recommend if you do see him, pick him up, especially if you're a Batman guy. he's nice to have in the series. He really is nice to have in the series. Alright, so I guess sort of Red Hood, he's not really a Titan, but he is associated with Titans. We might as well do the Titan that I've been waiting for. Not the Build-A-Figure, which I only got the head of, or the last version they did, which was a DC Direct. No, we're talking about good old Vic. So let's get once more Dr. Scalpel out, almost matching, and take him out of the package. And while I cut this thing open, how you guys doing? How's your collection coming? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Are you finding the same problem I have with the DC Multiverse here in Canada? Quite often, the guys who review action figures, like in Australia, get them first. Or certain other places, like in the States, they get them a month before we do. There's a whole bunch of action figures that have come out this month, in October or / November, and we're not getting them in Canada till December. So it's kind of like, ugh. It's almost as if McFarlane's Toys is saying, if you want to get it earlier, you have to go through their store and not through anybody else. Something to think about for season 4. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know, but I'm going to finish taking him off, do the close-up, and we'll be back right after that. Well, you saw in the close-up, I did not put his large cannon arm on. It's not a peg. It's literally you just slip it onto his arm, and it's supposed to stay there, but as soon as you start moving around, it pops off. It's a very loose fit, so this I'm not a big fan of. A little bit of a heads-up warning. If you do get this figure, when you take him out of the package, the shoulders sockets are upside down. In other words, they're inverted. The arms themselves are stuck on the upside down thing. It took a while for me to get the shoulders back down normal, and of course to get the arms turned properly. Once again, warm water, baby. You gotta warm up these guys sometime. The other thing I also noticed was his torso is a little off lines. I have to line it up a little bit. But yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, action figures. Now, I will say right off the bat, there is a lot of reuse in this action figure. I mean, if you ever looked at like the OMAC Batman and so forth, this is a lot of reuse, which is a bit disappointing. As you saw in the close-up, I actually am looking forward to the day we get the traditional George Perez Cyborg. It seems for some reason DC Comics and McFarlane Toys likes pushing the more and more, oh, it's a robot with a human half head. I want the traditional Cyborg. I don't think I'm the only one out there. If you want him to, let me know in the comments. Let me know, hey, you would love to have a George Perez type Cyborg. It would be great. Now, the face sculpt isn't bad. I have to admit, the face sculpt isn't bad. It's not a bad face sculpt compared to some of the other Cyborg face sculpts, and it does fit in nicely with the Teen Titans. If you have a Teen Titans shelf, which I have in the main floor, it does fit in with that. It does, size-wise, fit in with that, because the only other Cyborgs we've had so far was the Teen Titans Go Cyborg, which has got that humongous round head. It seems out of place. You have the DC Direct one, which is I have it with my Teen Titans downstairs. Even though it's a DC Direct, it doesn't quite fit in properly. And if you were lucky enough to get the Flashpoint wave, you have the Build-A-Cyborg, which is totally the wrong size. I mean, I would understand the body being that size, but the head for that thing was like 3 times the size of a normal head, which doesn't make sense because his body's been replaced cybernetically, not his freaking skull. But there he is. There he is. On my Teen Titans shelf, well, he's not front of the shelf. No, he's going to be... He'll be standing next to Gar Logan. He'll be next standing Beast Boy. I'm happy they finally made one that we could have, but this is more the Justice League Cyborg, not the Teen Titans Cyborg or the Titan Cyborg. Which leads us to our last one for the night's episode. The one I didn't open, and sorry for that. I had a little accident with some cherry coke, and my floor is kind of still recovering from the stickiness. It's clean, but you know, the wheels aren't rolling so much anymore. But here we have Connor Kent, aka Lex Luthor Connor Kent. So once more. Well, let me think. Did you pick this guy up? Are you like me and you kind of wish that McFarlane would make chases a lot more easier to get in Canada? Especially with the chases that have come out. The chases are a bit of a nightmare. The other thing I've also noticed too, a lot of times there are some variants that come out that we never get. Unless you order from a store. Good example would be, as I showed you guys before, in the... after season 3, there'll be a special where I do Jonah Hex. Now, this is the Platinum Jonah Hex. And when I first picked them up at GameStop, I asked them, isn't there a different one, like a brown horse? And they said, no, it's the only thing they got. Well, there is. There's a Walmart one in the States where it's basically him, more of a darker blue outfit, and it's a brown horse. If you're like me and you're a toyholic, you want them. So I'll have to somehow figure out a way to get them because, as you know, Walmart may be the United States' favorite toy store. It's not up here in Canada. So here it's pretty much your local comic book store or GameStop where you get your stuff because Toys R Us also sucks here. So what do you say I finish taking him out and we'll be back after his close-up. Well, I will say, when it comes to DC Multiverse, Platinums, this one you get good bang for your buck. You get a flying base, which is nice because a lot of times they don't come with flying bases when they should. You also get, this was I said this the last time I did the regular Connor Kent. I even said, hey, Todd, keep doing this. A 2-peg base. Not just your typical flat round one. 2 pegs works better. Especially because one thing I've discovered with McFarlane Multiverse, sometimes you have what I call the McFarlane ankle problem. Now you also get a grabby hand. You get a pointing at you finger hand. And you get 2 spare heads. So if you do customs and you say, hey, I need some spare heads, there you go. 2 spare heads. So let's talk about the figure itself. Well, if you're a Spawn action figure collector and you picked up that Tupac. You picked up that 2-pack that had Todd and his first drawing of Spawn, you'll recognize the body. It is the same body they used for the Todd McFarlane body, except he's wearing shoes. In the Todd one, he's barefoot because that's how he is. And there he is. Now, it's basically the same as the regular Connor Kent, except they put a L on his chest, and it's not even like raised fabric, it's just part of the design and so forth. I will give you guys a heads up though, because this happened with my regular one. The wrist is stuck. Alright. With my regular one, when I took him out and I figured, okay, I'm gonna swap some heads out, I put the Lex Luthor head on. These wonderful little like heat vision effects, they break easy. So I now have a spare head where there's no eyeballs because they fall. So when you move the head, I would say be very careful with this one because if you squeeze the head the wrong way, it's gonna pop off. It's the same thing happened with the rival, the Flash rival. I moved this head and it just popped off. So bit of a heads up with that one. Now, am I happy I got him? Yeah, because it's part of the storyline. I do like it. I do wish the articulation was a bit better on this one, because it would have been nice they didn't just use your typical pants and shirt Todd McFarlane body, because it does limit the posability, and once again, they're really stiff. So I do recommend, if you do want to pose them, you know, in a slightly different pose than how they come in the box, you want to warm them up. A little bit of warm water, soak it for 5 minutes. I normally do a 2-minute running stream of hot water, and it works pretty good. Because, you know, I've had some break before when you just go to move it out of the box and snap. Yeah, not good. But there he is. And for those of you who watch my show, I don't have any complaints about this today, because for all three of the DC Multiverse, there's no cape. They work. He does have the ankle problem, though, which took me a while to fix. Yeah, if you see him, pick him up. I will keep this head on this one, because I've already got my regular one that doesn't have the L shape, and he also has a good head on it. But I have 2 spare heads now for some customs. Some ideas come to mind. But there he is. And I know you're thinking, well, there's no front of the shelf this week. Sorry, none of the figures this week were good enough for me to go front of the shelf. It does happen. It does happen. Now, as you know, Season 3 has 1 more episode, and this is where I'm going to ask you to hit like and subscribe and get the notification thing, because after next week's episode, there will be a special on him. I'm not going to say when I'm going to post it. It'll post, and you'll get that notification going, bing! Oh, look, there's a Jonah Hex special. There's also going to be a Batman and Solomon Grundy from Arkham City 2-pack special. I'll be doing those between Season 3 and 4. But as you know, next week, I'm going to warn you guys again, it's going to be a long show. It's going to be a long one. And because we got a lot to cover next week. We've got Hugo Strange dressed up as Batman. We've got Dick Grayson as Batman. Maybe if I'm lucky, my Robin will show up. We also have classic look Bullseye Batman. Woo! We've got, it doesn't seem to end, it's all Batman. The Planet Edition Batman Bruce Wayne Unmasked. I found out, I got a call from GameStop today. My Hush Joker Eyes came in, but like I said with the other Jokers I picked up last week, I might not do another Joker Eyes character, at least not here. And to wrap all that up next week, because it's the season ender, next week we're looking at this. Yep, we're doing the Batman and Alfred Pennyworth big reveal. Now there's also a glow-in-the-dark version of the car, but I don't care. I want Alfred. If the glow-in-the-dark came with Alfred, I would have gone that way. And that's it. That's it for the show this week. Like I said, next week is 52. Get what I did there? Because a lot of the stuff is from New 52 Reborn. I figured Season 3 would have 52 episodes, not counting the specials or the Marvel Mondays. Now, on Monday, there is no Marvel Monday. Sorry. I have no Marvels. I'm out of Marvels, and I'm not going to be a Marvel collector. I'm a DC guy. I pick up the Marvels once in a blue moon. It's the same reason why I sometimes pick up stuff like this. But next Friday, it's going to be a big episode. Definitely strap yourselves in. Now, I will give you a hint for next week. I'm not going to film it all on Friday like I do this show. It'll probably be filmed in segments because it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot of figures to go through, and it's going to take some time to edit all that. So you might see a change in costume or hair in next week's episode. Don't be alarmed. And as for Season 4, I don't know. It really depends. I do have a lot of pre-orders coming in. And as I said at the start of the show, unfortunately, the stuff in Canada doesn't show up in October or November like it does in the States. We get it in December. So I do have a lot of stuff coming in December. So probably Season 4 will probably start January of next year. It all depends. But that's it. That's it for us. It's weird wrapping up a season again. This is the 3rd season. I think it's been our best season. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you enjoyed Season 3? Do you like the setup instead of me standing in front of a wall? Apart from that, I say this every episode because it is important in more ways than one. You got to do your best for your body, your mind, and your emotional state. You got to do your best to stay healthy. It's not always easy, but you got to do your best. And of course, when you do get a whole bunch of spare heads, it's a good way, even for like a minute in a day. It's a good way to stay happy. And even though it's not always easy to put on a fake smile, to get into character, to basically have an outlook that's not so down in the dumps depressive, especially with the way the world is nowadays, people not working, people being homeless, and all that stuff, and people going through mental health issues, but you still have to do your best. I do it. This is my way of doing it. It's my character, the Man Montreal Man, but it's my way, and I encourage you to do the same. Do your best to stay positive. And with that, I will say, have a great weekend. Hopefully you had a great week. Hopefully next week will be good, and we will see you here next Friday for the season ender. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of those you love, and keep buying action figures.